Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on viewing the latest feature releases for Sage Intacct. My name is Ali Pakalnis, and I will help facilitate our webinar today. Before we get started, here are a few tips on using the Zoom platform so you can engage with our presenters and have the best experience possible. You should see a Zoom toolbar with icons for Ask a Question and Raise Your Hand. Please use the Ask a Question feature to submit a question or comment. If you need any assistance, click on the Raise Your Hand button and I will connect with you to help. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation and we will do our best to answer them all. If we didn't answer your question, we will follow up with you personally after the presentation. Within 72 hours of the webinar, you will receive a link to download the slide deck and today's presentation. This webinar does qualify for CPE credits. To receive your credits, you must actively respond to 3 out of the 5 polling questions and stay on for the duration of the webinar. If you have any difficulty answering the polling questions, please email elevatelearn@armanino.com with questions. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to today's presenters, Jen Bowman and Shannon Santa-Steven.
Hello, thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We are appreciative of your attendance and looking forward to sharing with you all of the exciting updates that Sage Intacct has to offer with its 2026 R1 release. Shannon and I are solution architects in our Sage Intacct group here at Armanino, and we are pleased to work with not only prospects, but also all of our clients as they continually optimize their Sage Intacct environments. If you do have questions in the chat during today's presentation, our coworkers Jeremy Anderson and Claire Hallman from the delivery team will be on hand to answer those questions. Anything that isn't able to be answered during the hour, we will certainly follow up with you afterwards. Okay. So our objectives, we want you to be able to identify some features that you are interested in enabling into your Sage Intacct environment. Our goal is to help continually optimize our clients' Sage Intacct environments to help them really work smarter, not harder, by engaging in the latest in technological advancements that Sage Intacct has to offer. So we're going to demonstrate where we can in a demonstration environment of Sage Intacct, and obviously work with you to apply the best practices for how to enable the new features into your Sage Intacct environments. Our agenda today is chock full of great improvements and innovations that Intacct has put into or infused into their Sage Intacct customer environments. All of these new features are available if you have these particular modules enabled in your Sage Intacct environment. Anything that you have questions about or would like us to help you partake in, please do feel free to reach out to us or your client manager for further information. We'd be happy to talk with you outside of this particular hour, one-on-one, to talk through how we can help you enable these new advancements. The first innovation topic is Sage AI and automation. The Finance Intelligence Agent, it is an early adopter. So as we know, we've got AI that is infused into these environments. You've got the ability to have the GL outlier detection that utilizes artificial intelligence, as well as if you have AP automation that also uses AI as well as machine learning. Then in addition, everybody has the Copilot search, where they can utilize Copilot to help return results that provide step-by-step processes on how you are to enable different features or view different information within your environments. Well, now those are all like basic, I guess, AI. Now, Intacct is starting to infuse agentic or agents into their AI within the Sage Intacct environments. This feature, so since it is early adopter, unfortunately, we are not able to show you the feature within the Sage Intacct environment. I do have a screenshot on the next slide for you. but it is a finance intelligent agent. So you're able to ask questions about your data. If you were to subscribe or join this early adopter program, you could ask a question such as, list the top 5 vendors with overdue bills and show the outstanding amount per vendor. So now Intact is getting into the, providing framework for using AI to develop reporting or outputs that are specific to the questions that you are asking. I don't know if this is going to be rolled out as something that's going to be a paid subscription. I wasn't able to find any information about that or not. I do know that the early adopter program is free. If you are to, request to be part of the early adopter, then you could be able to utilize the feature for free and provide feedback to Sage Intacct to help them improve it before they eventually roll it out to general availability. In the early adopter, this is a screenshot that I was able to from the release notes. And so this would be the output that you would see if you had on the right-hand side here within the Copilot framework. If you had asked that question into this chat using the agent, then it would provide you with an output in a panel here that would be answering that question in a visual and reporting representation. So just to kind of show you what that looks like, again, if you wanted to sign up for that early adopter program, you could just ask one of us or ask your client manager to do so. Okay, so with that, I do have something that I did want to show you that is new. Let me escape here. I'm going to hide the floating. There we go. I can go to my demo environment of Sage Intacct. I did want to show you that the help and support now, if you click on the help center, it does open a brand new tab for you. So instead of opening a window that then overlays over top of your Sage Intacct screen, it's a new tab, and you then can just ask, search your topic, find the right help guide, right? So I guess adding vendor, right? It'll take you to some results, and then you can, click on what you need, get your directions, and then go back and toggle back to your other Sage Intacct tab to be able to, find, those instructions. So I wanted to show you that. That's another new little, innovation that Intacct has. All right, so go back to the sharing. See, all right. AP automation, that feature now will predict the tax details. So that's one new feature that is now available if you do have the AP automation subscription to that. As if you know, or you may not know, that is a feature where Intacct can automatically read in AP bills. If you have purchasing set up, you can have it set to where it will do a match between an approved purchase order to the bill that's been entered. The entry point is either an upload, or you or a vendor could, or a department head, or someone doing that spending who has that bill in their email can then forward that email to your Sage Mail email account. And now the machine learning is getting smarter to be able to predict tax details within these transaction documents. In the news of company and administration, we've got the import services. So more AI has been infused into Sage Intacct environments. So the import services. So when you upload or import data into Sage Intacct, there has been some AI infusion into that process. So you are able to the enhanced mapping to make importing easier. So it does make, save time. It ensures the accuracy. It allows you to provide enhanced mapping. You can split or join fields. You can also map a source field to multiple destinations, and then also even generate new values, such as creating email addresses from names within the Sage Intacct import feature. There is a link that you will receive when you receive this PowerPoint slide deck. You'll have this link enabled, or you can always go into the release notes, which are in the home section of your Sage Intacct environment, and the link to the demo of this tool. Allowing email address lists. So Intacct will start producing a list of allowed email addresses, and that can really help you from spoofing and phishing attacks. So you are also able to, if you're an admin, go into company setup, and in the security tab, you can review and edit that list as well. So Intacct will add to that list, but also giving you a chance as an admin to be able to go in and review and update the list as well. In the world of platform service, customizations, extensions, there is a beta application management update. So in for the last of last year, application management, it contains a robust interface for publishing and updating and managing applications that you have added to your Sage Intacct environment. For example, if you use a program called Asset Edge, if you've built your own custom module within Sage Intacct, etc., now there will be a banner that displays when there is a new version that is available for you to be able to install. This would also apply to if you've got the older version of Sage Fixed Asset, the SIG version of Fixed Assets. That is a module that requires upgrading from time to time. And so now you will have a banner that alerts you when that is allowed. You will also have an ability to instill like an auto install process for some of these subscriptions and some of these installs of the latest versions of these different modules as well. So you would just go into the settings and you would enable the is pull allowed feature. And that way that those upgrades will automatically install. The customer health insights, I think, has something to show us there, but there is some new logic that's been infused into the customer records through the accounts receivable module and giving scoring measurements for your clients that you have set up, or your funders or donors, et cetera, that you have set up in your Sage Intacct environment. So there is a new set of fields that will be automatically populated based on the behaviors of these clients. And it provides a health score and a status. And then if it's at risk for churn, or if that customer seems to be at risk for, leaving your services. And this was what I just showed about the Help Center. It gives you that consistent navigation. You could just toggle back and forth between tabs instead of needing to, view the help documentation through that extra window. Something that I hadn't really thought about is that you can save these as bookmarks. So if there's a topic that you need to refer back to again and again, you have that URL open in a new tab, and you can save that tab in your bookmarks to just give you, greater, faster accessibility to the information that you need. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving along to our first polling question. Oh, right. So customer insights have been added to the customer records to bring important engagement signals such as health score, status, and churn risk. True or false? Give everybody just maybe 30 seconds to reply. And remember that in order to get that CPE, you need to reply to 3 out of the 5. I think we're set with answers. And that answer is true. And most of you, 93%, got that right. Excellent. All right. Moving on to general ledger updates. GL account reconciliations. So if you recall the past couple of releases, we talked about the ability to have AR and AP reconciliations. Well, now the GL account reconciliation feature has been made available to clients within Sage Intacct environments. So it just helps you to make that reconciliation process simpler and faster. You're going to be matching those offsetting debit and credit entry lines, resulting in an efficient review process and just strengthening that reconciliation process as well. This is what a screenshot looks like of this process. So you'll be able to utilize matching letters to then have the system automatically go through a set of entries and then provide that matching through the letter combinations to line up the matched transactions together. I think I've got another view here as well. So it does streamline this process, right? You can, generate comprehensive reports as well. I have another screenshot next of the report. So depending on how you filter that report, it'll show you the activity that's been matched, what's been unmatched, and it really gives you that view of both a matched and unmatched activity within a singular report. And this is what one of these reports looks like. Again, if you have any questions about this or how to add this feature, please feel free to reach out and let us know. And then this one shows you with these matching letter combinations, the combinations of entries that are aligned with each other. So these two happen to be, one line apart from each other, and others are, further apart in the list to help that speed up that reconciliation process. All right. So in the area of dynamic allocations, so if you've got that subscription, it's a pretty hardy subscription, but it's a really hardy, robust tool for those dynamic reallocations, right, of accounts and amounts that have already been uploaded or entered within the general journal entries. You are able to create these different scenarios to help look across those entries based on different criteria, and then have those amounts dynamically distributed across dimensional attributes according to these calculations that you have set up in these scenarios. So the dynamic allocations, it's a general ledger feature. And it's a paid subscription type of a feature. But now you are able to use the source account group as the target for the allocation. So that enhancement allows you're able to allocate those account balances across dimensions while maintaining the original account balance within that allocation definition. So this is the checkbox that you would enable within the scenario that you have set up currently. If you wanted to update any of those scenarios, you can go into each of those scenarios and update those individually by enabling this checkbox here. Okay, so that leads me to our second poll. And it is the new dynamic allocations feature. It allows you to do the following. So make one choice here. So you can use the source account group as the target for the allocation. You can design complex scenarios such as expense allocations. You can easily match allocations to reporting requirements and stakeholder expectations. Or the final choice is all of the above. So give everybody maybe 45 seconds to answer. All right, our answers locked and loaded. And that was a bit of a softball. All of the above for sure. So 86%. Got that one correct. Okay, moving on to purchasing. The line level approvals for purchasing, that is early adopter. So I know I've had a couple of clients that I've spoken with. And again, with these early adopter programs, unfortunately, they don't give them to us in our demo environment. So it isn't something that we are able to show. But if you want to be considered, for this early adopter, again, you can complete the form. This will be in the packet of slides that are sent to you after this session ends. The line level approvals for purchasing, that is a game changer for a lot of our clients. Oftentimes that feature was one that pushed them to utilize a third party or a marketplace partner like a, Tipalti or Bill.com or whatnot. So once, to me, this gets proven out through this early adopter program and becomes generally available, it will be something that will really be a benefit to many of our clients. It allows you to send your purchase order line by line to the approvers that are required, right? So if you've got purchase order and there are different dimensions on each line, projects or grants, right, on each line, locations, et cetera, you are able to then, if you have department heads, project managers, location set up in Sage Intacct, then the PO will, I guess, transmit line by line to the appropriate personnel that need to provide their time and attention to approve those particular lines. You are also going to be able to have clear visibility to see the per line status. If there's lines that have been approved versus lines that have not, if there are declines, et cetera, really, really helps to have that more granular control over the spending policies of the organization. So if you want to be considered for the early adopter program, then you could just apply by completing this form. And with early adopter, that does allow you to have a chance to give feedback and help them really prove out that set of features before they make it generally available, as they have done with the line level matching for AP automation. That is now generally available. So if you've got the matching, if you have multi-line bills, multi-line purchasing transactions, and you have a bill that has been uploaded against that, you are now able to use the AI, feature to match the vendor document to the source purchasing transaction. And then it also populates line items in the target transaction using the data from the uploaded or the emailed vendor document. So rather than the source document, and it will flag the differences in terms of pricing, quantities, right, et cetera, that might be shown between that vendor invoice and the source transaction. So it enables a very, strong spend control process with three-way match between your purchase orders, your receivers, and your vendor invoices. So that does require the AP automation, subscription, if you will. That is a tiered subscription based on how many documents that you plan to utilize the AI feature with. And then you also need some configuration as well. And again, our consultants are happy to standing by to help you enable this. The new email domain, you've got a new domain, and I will show you in a moment about how to look at or find where those new email addresses are within your Sage Intacct environment. So the older ones were like an @sagemail.com type of an account, and now it is @ai.sage.com. So we encourage you to talk with your vendors if you've shared these email addresses with your vendors or department heads or other people doing spending that need to forward things along. Please do share the new email address with these constituents for a time, and they didn't specify how long, but Sage will provide auto forwarding for a period of time, I guess was what they kind of indicated. So definitely, take some time and let your vendors and constituents know about the change. And then we've got another bounce back feature has been enabled. So with the enable, email bounce back notifications, if a bill is sent to the Sage Mail and for some reason gets bounced back, you will also be completing here an email address where you would like that bounce back alert to go. And that way you can have someone who can monitor this particular email address for those types of bounce backs to make sure that you've got 100% of your vendor invoices being sent and input into the Sage Intacct environment. Okay, and so now I'm going to show you in my environment here what that looks like. All right, so we'll go here, and then in AP, in configuration, you're going to scroll down to the bill automation settings, and that's for, again, folks that have subscribed to this feature. In email services, when you press the configure button, you've got a couple things. That bounce back feature is nestled in here. So if you want, and it'll be defaulted to do not send. So if you want to change that, if you have the admin privileges to do so, you'll just click this and then you'll enter an email address here for where those bounce backs will go, will be emailed to. And then this is the listing, and Sage has done this automatically for all of our clients. You'll be able to see the new email addresses so you can share those with the proper vendors and coworkers. So that's here. Okay, so back to our webinar. All right, moving right along. Polling question number 3. Okay, this is true or false. Line level matching is now generally available for customers who have the AP automation with purchasing feature. True or false? Probably only needs about 30 seconds for answering. Okay, think we have our answers. All right, and that is true. So 88%. That correct. That is true. So line level matching is generally available. It's line level approvals that is in that early adopter program. Okay, so accounts payable. We have an enhancement to load more bills at once. So up to 5,000, and you can then view 1,000 rows per page now. So you do need to, navigate into accounts payable and to pay bills and enable that feature to then load more of those bills. The list view, Intacct sometimes calls that the lister. So those filters include, what's listed here. We've got the vendor, the ID, which are separated now for ease of search. Bill number, date, due date, currency, if you have multi-currency environments, amount due, the inline credit, if that is enabled for you, and then the preferred payment method. And so it's a location-based filtering, and there's persistent filtering. It remains active across each of those pages that you happen to be navigating. And then the vendor column splits. So we've got the vendor and name and ID are in separate columns for easier ability to search and sort. And then we also, so the sorting improvements, there's dynamic sorting for key columns, but there are some attributes that are not quite supported, and those are the priority, the discount date, and the location, ID, and name. Recurring transaction notification. So now there are improved notifications for recurring transaction schedules that you might have set up in AP and AR. That will help you with receiving email alerts if a recurring transaction does not generate as expected. So it will really help you to spot problems quickly and to keep these schedules running smoothly. The benefits include, faster issue resolution. There's flexibility for those ownership changes. If the creator of the schedule leaves the company, you can update that notification email accordingly, making sure that alert goes to the right person, be able to stay informed, act promptly, and then have that visibility. So understand and know which schedule did not process, who owns it, what needs attention. And it's more of a proactive way to being able to be alerted rather than having to remember to go in and look for any of those failures. AP advances, you can post accounts payable advances at the top level. So, working at the top level, even when you do have multi-base currency environments, so that you're able to do that as well. You can create those AP advances centrally without having to kind of toggle to different, individual entities. It provides you with consistent, predictable workflows, and increase efficiency. It aligns also with accounts receivable, right? So it gives you that parity and consistency across those applications, helping you to streamline, work smarter, not harder, right? So, but some things to think about is that with draft AP advances, you do need to still provide a currency if you have a multi-currency environment. Also, cross-currency advances, again, within the multi-currency environments, they do still require the transaction currency that matches the bank currency. And then cash basis companies, don't have too many out there, but some, they need to understand that does remain, unsupported for AP advances at the top level. Okay, so time. The geofencing for time clocks. So I think maybe probably about 6 months ago or so, Intact announced the time clocks. So if you use timesheets in Sage Intacct and you also have that Sage Intelligent Time, which is actually now called Sage Intelligent Time and Expenses smartphone app, you can then use geofencing to monitor the time clocks to make sure that you have punch ins, punch outs, where at the location where the employee needs to be at those times. When they're clocking in, they can be, you can set it within thresholds and to be, maybe a quarter of a mile or at the location, whatever your protocols are. You're able to track that with geofencing. So we can't have a situation where someone's clocking in or out, and they're not where they were supposed to be during the beginning and the end of that shift. So definitely helps to, provide that payroll accuracy, billing accuracy as well. And you've got that GPS verified clock punch ins and punch outs. And then you do still, respect privacy. There's consent, right? So users are, are forewarned, right, about this feature. They need to, kind of buy into this process in order to be able to utilize this feature. And then you can, avoid any fraud when it comes to the punch outs, punch ins, punch outs that are outside of those geofence based restrictions. Fixed assets management. The construction in progress feature has been highly awaited and now it is available. And this is the new Sage Fixed Assets Management module. It may be a replacement for the older SIG Fixed Assets installed, module that Intact had purchased from a partner, maybe about 8 years ago or so. And also some other clients use Asset Edge. So this is also another place where you could replace that. What's nice about, they call it SFAM or Sage Fixed Assets Management. SFAM gives you asset as a dimension, allowing you to track it, to report against, a particular asset, etc. So it strengthens your ability to report, from an asset perspective. The CIP functionality, there's a few steps involved with enabling it. And again, we'd be happy to help you in that regard if you would like. You do need to turn that on. You need to add any GL accounts that you might, need to add into your environment as well. And then you would assign the CIP GL accounts. You're going to create those assets. So from a bill or from a purchasing transaction, you can create the CIP asset once that feature is enabled. And once you have your accounts enabled as well. And you could also add manually or through importing too. So there's a number of different ways that you can enter a CIP or construction in progress asset. As those costs are incurred, as you're then adding to that CIP asset throughout the process of, it could be like building, a renovation, some type of particular capital project. As you're adding those costs in and tagging that asset to those costs, they will then be stored within the asset record within a tab that's denoted as CIP. And you'll also be able from that tab to then drill down on the source transaction, those bills and those purchasing documents into the bills and the costs that are making up that particular asset. Other updates to asset costs, you can now increase or decrease the asset's cost directly from an AP adjustment. So this is another important update to the Sage Fixed Assets Management feature, because previously you were only really able to, do cost adjustments if you had not yet put it into service, or if you had already put into service, then you had to reverse postings and states and workarounds and whatnot in the general ledger to be able to adjust the cost. Now you can just create that AP adjustment and then you can tag the asset, right, as a dimension in this area here. And that way you can adjust that cost through the AP adjustment feature. Roll forward report. There's actually a few reports. I was looking at this just a few minutes ago, actually, with the team and adding some reports into my Sage Fixed Assets Management dashboard. That's a dashboard that you can enable in the dashboards library. And then to it, add the new reports that have been, there's a net book value report. There's also a roll forward report that's been added into the report library. So if you go into custom report, you can search out that particular report. You can then run it and then add it to your dashboard and create for yourself a nice fixed assets management dashboard. So hopefully, if we have time permitting, I plan to review those things in a few minutes. Also, flexible GL account assignments. So they had a restriction that's been removed on the asset GL accounts and added a new field to bill and purchasing transaction lines to give you a more, flexible experience. So each asset classification required its own unique asset GL account. Now there are multiple asset classifications that you can share across the same asset GL account. So it still behaves the same way, recording the asset related transaction, but you have more control to align the classification, according to your accounting structure. All right, poll question 4, multiple choice. To enable construction in progress within Sage Fixed Assets Management, take these steps. Enable CIP within the Fixed Assets Management configuration screen. Assign CIP GL account or accounts to relevant asset classifications. Create the assets through bills, purchasing transactions manually within the module or through the import service, and or costs through bills or purchasing transactions that are added to the existing CIP asset. Or finally, all the above. Hopefully that's an easy one. Any answers left? 93%. You got it right. All the above. Okay, so now I'm going to turn things over to Shannon. So I'm going to stop my share so that she can share her screen. All right, Shannon, share whenever you're available.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Santa Steven, and I'm going to take you through some new enhancements in this release. And thank you to Jen for such a great and thorough explanation of some of the really fun new features. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about improvements in AR and contracts, inventory, cash management, projects, and finally construction. And then we'll turn it back over to Jen to wrap us up. So as you're working through Intacct after this new release has come out, you might notice in your preferences up by your username in the top right corner of your screen, you can go in there and turn on some new and improved notifications in AR and AP. You can also assign a global approver or a global notification person. So if ownership of processing changes in your company, you can get an update of all the emails to make sure that everything is moving through the process as it should. So that's a great new feature that's coming out. And that way you can stay informed and act promptly as needed. Also, we talked about a little bit about the customer health insights. I really like this from a customer retention perspective. You can now store some of that customer health information from your CRM in Intacct and kind of take a more proactive approach to managing your customer relationship. And so I just want to show you a little bit about what that looks like in Intacct. In the new enhanced list for the customers view in the accounts receivable module, you can actually create a new view and add in the health score and health status fields so that as you are maintaining your customer records, you can add these notations here and your company can come up with its own scale of when someone has a healthy score between 80 and 100%, or whichever way you'd like to denote that. but you can also use the drop down here to show the status and then if they're at risk for churn. So you can continue to see that at a glance in your view and kind of see how it's green and yellow and red. So I really like that new feature. All right. And like I said, you can define your own numeric value for this feature. Now we're going to have another polling question, Jen. You
All
may
right.
now receive.
Oh, thanks.
Yep. You may now receive email alerts when recurring transactions with an AR or AP do not generate as expected, helping you quickly spot problems and keep schedules running smoothly. And I think we have a good amount of responses locked in now. All right. Good. Everybody got that right. We want to make sure everybody's informed of all the things that they need to keep track of in their system. Good. So now we'll talk about contracts a little bit. Automated renewal pricing updates. I love this because when you're working with contracts and you have a big population of them, injecting updated prices for the next year for the renewals has been a manual process in the past. And so now you can do that via a CSV import or API, and you can actually connect to external pricing or consumer price index systems directly to your Intacct renewal workflow. So that's pretty exciting. And that'll help improve accuracy and save you time. And with these renewal pricing updates, you can also do them for evergreen templates and create your own custom renewal amounts. So that's exciting news. Our inventory and supplies module has some enhanced flexibility in case you are out of stock and need something quickly. You can see when you don't have enough requested supply or specific items, and you can set up substitutions for priority items. That way, when you are working to meet employee demand for item substitutions, you have the ability to reassign purchased supplies and just really keep track and on top of creating those orders and getting those supplies in on time. So that's a new great feature. Cash management. I'm very excited about some of these new enhancements because we're getting closer to being able to help really give you a visual way to see your cash needs for the future month and your requirements. So this is in early adopter status right now, but we're working hard to get this to you as soon as we can. And we have other enhancements we'll talk about here in just a minute. So we're going to be able to, in the early adopter, when this comes out for general use, view amounts for payables and receivables and bank balances in a single page so that you can efficiently surface cash flow insights. And I have a screenshot of what this is going to look like on the next slide. So stay tuned. It's really great because it supports all available currencies and shows short-term payable forecasting. And that way you can have a single page to help you efficiently see cash flow insights. It's really exciting. So this is what it's going to look like. And the purpose of it is to optimize cash management and use the embedded AI powered cash analysis by leveraging Copilot insights to quickly interpret short-term cash requirements and risks. And it'll help you make faster payment decisions. So we're all really, really excited about this. And tech printing allows you to have flexible addresses and logos when you're using blank check stock. This is a little bit more intuitive on the screen now. And when you're switching between different check stock for your check runs, this is really helpful now. And reconciliation is getting easier by the month because now we're adding document number fields to bank interest and charges. That way you can see, make sure that you have all of the needed additional bank fees and interest and charges that may be coming in from your bank statement. So you don't have to kind of go back and count up. Did you, make sure you got them all in the system? You can use the new document number field to help with that. And it gives you faster and more reliable matching. And you can group by document number and match on the amounts to combine debits and credits so that you can reduce manual intervention and speed up reconciliation. So that's really fun. Banking cloud enhancements, we're trying to streamline where you find all of your information. And so now we're adding more things to the banking cloud tab of your account so that the bank feed data and the import data using the bank transaction assistant screens and fields are all together in one page. And so that will be able to enhance the create assignment rule process and allow you to reconcile the account more efficiently. And here's our bank register report enhancements. It allows you to put your location on here more efficiently. And that way you can have greater visibility into what you're seeing as you're running your reports. And notification for vendor payments powered by CSI. They will no longer be supported after August 7th of 2026. So please reach out to your account manager or your Sage Intacct partner and check out the marketplace and maybe get a demo of Mineral Tree or another Sage Intacct marketplace partner solution for your automated payment needs. Projects and grants. I'm very excited about this new feature because we all know how it is to have a lot of projects that maybe close at the same time, or you need a visual on how you're waiting for a purchase order to come in for it before you can start billing. In the enhanced list view now, there's a way to select many projects at once and update the fields. And so you can reassign those fields, reassign the project category or the project status from maybe a contracted project to an internal project in case you have things that change status like that. Or you can close out the projects at the end of their life cycle if you do that once a month. So it's really exciting because the enhanced scalability and improved project performance and giving the project managers and controllers a lot more visibility into listing their projects in an efficient way for them to make better business decisions. It's really great. And to follow on with what Jen was talking about for fixed asset construction in progress, you can now connect the project that is the actual construction and project with the CIP asset dimension connected to the project. So you don't have to go to two places to enter things anymore. So that's great. It saves repetitive work. And it also allows for auto defaulting in bills and POs to improve accuracy of connecting those things together until that construction in progress asset that's being built is finished. And then you can actually place it into service. So that's a great new feature too. Our construction module is always getting new enhancements. And so this is great. The work order management application and work order dimension have received updates so that you can track your service work orders in a dedicated application. They handle high volume of shorter duration jobs. So that's really great. It enhances efficiency to reference specific work orders on transactions within Sage Intacct and post them all the way to the general ledger. And you can go to the work order management setup page and specify work order types, call types, problem codes, and other work order states. So you can really customize that experience. Flexibility of release retainage function has received some enhancements too to meet regional requirements and expand retainage release options so that you can have another way to process your retainage. And you can still set per invoice line on the AP retainage release page. And we are also seeing enhancements in when you're selecting the release retainage button, the new retainage window opens up and you can enter a specific percentage of the retainage to release. And so it's great to be able to have that flexibility now. Enhancements to work in progress management. This allows you to set costs and billings for projects to complete as of a specific work in progress period. So you have more forecast and completion matching functionality, and it allows you to forecast percent complete and recalculations based on the forecast. So we're excited about that enhancement as well. All right, back to you, Jen. Talk about user
Okay.
experience.
Sounds good. Okay, great. So we do have a few more minutes left. I will have a chance to go into my demo environment, which is great. So I'm just going to gloss through this user experience up here, knowing that you'll get the full, slide deck on the back end after the session ends. There are just some different labeling adjustments and changes. If you have a console, for example, the formatting, of the fields have changed, and instead of a button, it'll be a checkbox. So different things like that. In subscriptions, renaming the outbound payment services is now being called vendor payment services. So I'm not going to, go through this exhaustive list, but know that you'll get this in your slide deck once you have that sent to you. And, supplies inventory, that's another feature that's growing a lot of legs within the Sage Intacct environment. You can order a watered down really version of it's less costly to you. But if you're really not selling or distributing items, you're more so consuming inventory that you would like to keep track of from a valuation perspective, from a quantities perspective, et cetera, then, you have the supplies inventory piece. The Sage Intacct planning feature, so that's the budgeting and preparation tool that has some enhancements to it. So those of you who are interested or maybe already are using the Sage Intacct planning, you can sync accounts and dimensions anytime to be able to keep the future plans, accurate without affecting your existing plans. You can modify the total. Now you can adjust or replace the total annual value of a plan line, and then make a decision on how you want that value to be distributed across different time periods. There are plan line dependencies. So the plan lines, those details, they fly out into a window, and that window now shows both the sources that your formula is referencing and then the sources that reference your plan line as well. So you're able to save those plans too as an Intacct budget for reporting within your Sage Intacct financials. That's an easier, more intuitive way to be able to save those. And then multi-year plans as well. So when you're creating a new plan, you can define it in that creation stage if it's going to be, an annual or a multi-year plan. Okay, this talks about our Armino Academy. Great for new employees, great for just needing to brush up on report writing skills. So we have some excellent recordings of trainings for report writing within our Armino Academy. Okay, so I'm going to escape here because I want to have time to show a thing or two. We have 3 minutes. All right, so I'm going to see what I can get to here. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to show you was, I guess Sage Intacct, the fixed assets piece. So I have this dashboard. And remember I said in the dashboard section, if you have admin privileges, you can add this from a dashboard library. Oops, sorry, I'm at the top level. Let me go to it works best with location based. So it's at the entity level. So this is an example of that dashboard. And now I have gone into the report center, clicked on the custom reports, and then from that library, toggled down to the fixed assets roll forward, location, employee, the net book value, and then able to add these reports and then add them to this dashboard. So now you can have some nice quick insights with, these hyperlink, availabilities, to be able to then drill down, into the reports. So some really nice reporting improvements that Intacct has provided. Within the Sage Fixed Assets Management, I have enabled my GL accounts, and I have also set up in the setup screen the construction in progress feature. And what I did was from a bill, I entered an initial bill to set up my construction in progress asset here. So now with this ability and this feature set up, I'm able to go in and take a look at my asset. I can also, sorry, I'm having some lag, a little bit of lag here, but able to go into my asset. I'm able to look at the cost adjustment. I'm able to toggle to the CIP screen to see all of the bills that are now going to be recognized as part of the costs for this particular asset. Not in the entity level, but in the top level, you'll have a button here that says capitalize. So you'll be able to now that's just the way I'm set up to do much of my transacting at the top level and just do some of the specific transactions down to the location or the entity level. So it depends on how you are set up. But in this particular demo environment, if I were at the top level, I would then be able to see the construction in progress, the ability to be able to capitalize that asset from that setting here. So I would just be able to go into that asset, go in here, click on and drill down into the asset. Then again, still be able to view these and then be able to capitalize that asset when that project is complete. So that's a couple things I wanted to show you. And I think that's probably all we have time for today. So I really appreciate you joining. And thank you very much. Have a great day. Please reach out with additional questions and to talk more about how we can help you optimize. Thank you.